What's up guys, and welcome to the channel. It's Joanna here, founder and CEO of Supwell. And today I wanted to dive into a question that has been on my mind recently as I've started to see more pop for this running brand that used to be at the top of the game with sponsored athletes like Usain Bolt and lost their way a bit over the past few years. So into this video, we'll be looking into the evolution of Puma running and whether they are a legit brand to consider in 2023, and also whether they've gotten their swagger back with the cool factor. Let's get into it. So first up, let's dive into the background of Puma. So this is a running brand that put a lot of emphasis on the track and field scene in the early days of their running development. Now, I'm talking 60s with athletes like Bakila and 80s with athletes like Bill Rogers. And of course, if we fast forward to the 2000s, we have Usain Bolt rocking those Pumas, sprinting 100 meter, 200 meter wins and raking in all those gold medals. Now, throughout the 2010s, we saw Puma shift away from the running market and particularly the distance running space. They didn't have many shoes that were targeting endurance runners, and as a company, they had more emphasis on those European markets than the US market. So in 2021, they returned to the running scene with a new crop of shoes, a brand new foam, and a bunch of sponsored athletes. With that new strategy, Puma was attempting to reclaim some of that running share and make a name for themselves with distance runners. So today, that strategy has worked pretty well as we have shoes like the Puma DV8 Nitro making a bunch of best of lists as one of those best high mileage trainer. It's that dual foam plated shoe, and Puma's also known for their awesome outsole rubber, which you can't say about very many brands, but they put a lot of emphasis on that Puma grip compound. And finally, we're starting to see Puma do some more collaborations in the space. So they just dropped a new colorway of that DV8 Nitro with CLA. And all this is part of that grander strategy from Puma to make a name for themselves in the endurance space. Now, I think there are a few things holding Puma back from reaching the next level in the running market. If you take a look at a brand like Saucony or Asics, I'm not gonna go Brooks because they've just been crushing it in specialty retail for decades, but let's dive into Saucony and Asics real quick as some case studies to see what Puma might be able to do to get more market share and really make a name for themselves in our space for recreational runners. The first thing that I'd love to see Puma do is a bit more transparency on their website about the technology, the foams, the development of the running shoes. Now, they do a fair bit of messaging around the benefits of these shoes, but it's not as clear as if you were to go to, say, a Saucony. Saucony has the best running website on the market today. They disclose all the materials that they're using in their foam. They have really clearly laid out what the drop is, what the weight is, and if you're a runner who's into the technology, who's into understanding how these products work, who's into understanding how these tools could be integrated to support your training, it's crucial that we get that information. So Puma's doing a decent job at this today. They're at a 5 or 6 out of 10. I'd like to see them bump it up to a 7 or 8 out of 10. Talk to us about the compounds you're using in your foam. Yes, we know that Nitro and Nitro Elite are super critical foams, but do a little bit more to surface the information about the research development process and all of the specs of the shoes. Put that on the landing page of the website, and I think you'll get a positive reaction from runners. Second, on that point, I'd like to see Puma drive a little bit more differentiation in their product lineup. So they have shoes like Liberate, Velocity, and Deviate. It's a pretty confusing naming scheme, and with all of them having Nitro in the name, and with all of them having a very similar design and color scheme, it's hard for recreational runners, let alone someone who does this for a living, to understand what all the differences are of these shoes without spending hours and hours and getting each of these on my feet and having them in my hands. This ties into that first point about putting more effort into the messaging around these shoes, but in the product development themselves, I think we can get a bit clearer, at least with color schemes. You know, put a little bit more design differentiation between these products. All right, the third thing that I would love to see Puma do to really take it to the next level is to drop a super shoe for the masses. Now, it's easier said than done, right? Everyone wants to have that Vaporfly, or everyone wants to have that Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, but not every brand can match the research and development firepower that goes into creating a shoe like that. I would love to see Puma take their time with the next iteration of that Nitro Elite foam and their next iteration of their top tier marathon racing shoe to drop a shoe that's really going to corner the market for those 240 to 330 marathon runners who are looking for that comfortable but fast plated race day option. Puma did drop that specialized 5K racer earlier this year, but that's a really niche product. I like where they're going with trying to add more to the conversation and trying to add more innovation and interesting products, but you need that top tier marathon racer to be taken seriously by runners, and the current product that Puma has isn't doing it for most of the market today. Puma also needs a max cushioned cruiser. Now, every brand has their top tier max cushioned shoe. This is gonna be your wedge that really gets you into the market and has a lot of those everyday runners trying your products. This is what's selling right now. Puma doesn't really have a max cushioned shoe in their lineup that does great. So stuff a big stack of that Nitro Elite under the Deviate Nitro upper, and you got yourself a $200 shoe that you can sell dozens of hundreds of thousands of in fleet feet across the country. So there are my thoughts on Puma. Yes, they are a brand to consider. They've got some awesome colorways. They've got some awesome technology. Their latest Nitro Elite foams perform really well, and they got that nice traction with the Puma Grip outsole. So let me know in the comments if you've tried this latest crop of Puma shoes, what you think of it, which ones I should grab for my next batch of reviews. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I'll make sure to keep you up to date on the latest and greatest in the world of performance running.